Chapter 350. Peiyudao frowned. There were also strong and weak extreme astral-reaching realm warriors. Before coming here, he did not think anyone could be his opponent, since all of his martial arts were top-rank Earth realm, and he had trained them to a very high level. His sword intent had also reached perfection, without any flaws, which was the true extreme astral-reaching realm. Who would have thought that Shintujua had already formed a martial spirit before reaching the Sea of Souls realm? Although it was not complete, it was still in its embryonic form. It seems like that blood evil stone from the auction 5 years ago had given Shintujua quite a lot. Peiyudao slowly let out a breath, his expression relaxing. Even if Shintujua had formed his martial spirit, he would not be afraid, since battles were not one-sided. Taking out his longsword, Peiyudao found an opportunity and slashed out. Puff! 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 In the sky, sharp flashes crisscrossed. At this moment, besides Shintujua, no one could tell how many sword attacks Peiyudao had thrown out. Even with the advantage of his martial spirit, Shintujua could only barely tell. The details were a bit blurry. The flashes disappeared, and the blood evil beast that had just jumped out of the ground was sliced into pieces. The middle piece quickly disintegrated, revealing the blood evil stone inside. Impressive! No wonder Peiyudao has the title of the #1 astral-reaching realm warrior in the whole South Rudra region. Far away from the mass grave, some powerful astral-reaching realm warriors were secretly shocked, knowing that they would not have the slightest bit of power to resist under Peiyudao's sword attack. Rock Heart Cut, Iron Bone Godly Claw, Gold Rock and White Bone Ghost General did not want to be left behind, both performing their ace attacks. The thin layer that isolated the shocking sky was cracked open, and a rich and pure yuan qi flow leaked out in all directions. As soon as it touched the air, it quickly became chaotic and violent, shattering the clouds in the sky. With a shoo, Yichun flew out along the direction of the yuan qi flow. Right now, I am at the top in every aspect. The only thing I am lacking is my own cultivation. Unfortunately, if I want to reach the peak level from mid-astral reaching realm, I would need at least dozens of earth astral pellets. After all, when I was only one step away from the peak level early astral reaching realm, I had already used up 2 earth astral pellets. That alchemist could only make 10 pellets a year, so I bought the remaining 5. It wasn't that Yichun hadn't thought of buying better pills or spirit grasses than the earthly astral pill, but unfortunately, these things were extremely rare and couldn't be bought with spirit stones. Otherwise, he would have prepared them when he was in the Martial City's trading hall. In any case, he had a lot of spirit stones with him. Forget it. It's better to cultivate on your own. Elixirs and elixirs can only be found by luck. There's no need to rush. Yichun, on the other hand, was not in a hurry to make a breakthrough. His cultivation base was not that powerful, but he could spend 10 times the effort to improve his martial arts and mentality, as well as his sword intent. Plus, with his current power, he was already at the peak of the astral-reaching realm. The most important thing was to maintain a good mentality. Let's go check out the Bloodstone Islands. I wonder what kind of secrets that blood evil beast has. I can't let go of the blood demon and the blood sword artist either. Shoo! His shadow flashed continuously as Yichen's speed reached 3 times the speed of sound. The news about the blood evil beast appearing in the Bloodstone Islands had spread out in the whole South Rudra region at an unimaginable speed. Although a lot of astral-reaching realm warriors did not dare to have any ideas about the blood evil beast, they would not let go of the blood evil stone in the area where the beast lived. Especially the powerful warriors from all the martial institutions, they valued the blood evil stone even more, since it was a treasure that could increase one's mental power. Qihua, the headmaster, and the others will take care of the blood evil beast. Our target is the blood evil stone. If we run into any weaker astral-reaching realm warriors, you will take care of them. On one of the islands, a group of people wearing red robes appeared. They all had the symbol of the Fire Spirit Palace on their clothes. The leader said to the handsome teenager next to him. The handsome teenager's eyebrows were like blades as he said confidently, "Second Master, don't worry. Below the late astral-reaching realm, I, Yen Qihua, am not afraid of anyone." The leader was an elder in his 60s. He was very confident about Yen Qihua's power. In the 2 years after the Hidden Dragon rank competition, Yen Qihua had been training even harder. Finally, he had managed to reach the astral-reaching realm half a year ago. As one of the rank 6 martial institutions, the Fire Spirit Palace did not lack pellets that could increase cultivation. With these pellets, Yan Qihua had reached the peak level of early astral reaching realm from early astral reaching realm in just 1 week. Added with his cross-realm battling power, no one below the late astral reaching realm would be able to beat him. Second Master, it is not like you do not know about Qihua's power. If he is able to join the Hidden Dragon rank competition again, Xikongshan and Yichan would not be able to get the first place easily. An inner master from the Fire Spirit Palace said with a loud voice. Yan Qihua tightened his fist and thought to himself, Xikongshan Yichan, wait for me. On the third island next to them, people from the Heartless Martial School had also arrived. Li Daoxian, who was wearing blue robes, had a long sword on his waist. His aura was getting colder and colder. Wherever he looked, the astral reaching realm warriors there would have a strong reaction, as if there was a sword with a cold light pointing right at them, killing their minds. What a powerful sword and tint. It should be at least 90%, right? He is indeed a rare martial genius of the Heartless Martial School. Without any surprises, there will be another Sea of Souls realm warrior in the Heartless Martial School in the near future. Yeah, Li Daoxuan's talent is without a doubt. But the legendary Yichan seems to be even more powerful. He is the most powerful young sword artist in the past 1,000 years in the whole South Rudra region. Not necessarily. All martial geniuses do not want to lose. Perhaps Li Daoxian has already reached Yichan, or even surpassed him. Everyone was discussing Li Daoxian's side. It was all thanks to Yichan that his sword intent could increase this fast. In his heart he hoped that Yichan could become even more powerful, so that he would have the motivation to keep chasing after him. Focusing his eyes, Li Daoxian noticed the young girl in the distance. It was Bing Ling from the Ice Extreme Martial School. Bing Ling was also a peak-level early astral reaching realm warrior right now, and there was no doubt that she would not be able to reach that level. The purpose of the competitions of the Hidden Dragon rank was to motivate people. Under other people's motivations, people would usually be able to make breakthroughs faster. If there were not many martial geniuses in the whole South Rudra region, and they did not have that much talent, then it would mean that the whole South Rudra region was weak. Only competition would provide the motivation. A peaceful environment would always make people relax. And in the era of martial geniuses, relaxation would only mean falling behind. Only by continuously becoming more powerful could one maintain their position. No one would want to leave the stage in the dark. It seems like I will not be lonely anymore. Li Daoxian did not dare to underestimate Bing Ling. Falling behind for a while did not mean falling behind forever. The top 10 of the Hidden Dragon rank were all martial geniuses of the same level. On the east side of the island, people from the Sky-Flying Devil Martial School are here. Indeed, Mo Yen is already a peak-level early astral-reaching realm warrior. What? Murong Qingqing's cultivation is only at the mid-astral reaching realm? How is this possible? All of the astral reaching realm warriors on the island could not believe their own eyes. They all gasped, trying their best to open their eyes. Wearing purple robes and a light veil on her face, Murong Qingqing walked behind the second core master. Mo Yen, who was usually the head disciple, was half a step behind Murong Qingqing. Vaguely, there was a trace of jealousy and evil light in his eyes. If Yichan were here, he would be able to tell that Mo Yan's temperament had changed a little bit. Huh? What Xikongshan? What Yichan? They were all surpassed by Qingqing in the end. And I one day will surpass Qingqing and make her my woman. Mo Yen sneered in his mind. After the Hidden Dragon rank competitions had ended, he had worked harder than anyone else, even to the point of torturing himself. What he could not understand was that Murong Qingqing had reached the early astral reaching realm with a crazy speed, and then from the early astral reaching realm to the mid-astral reaching realm. It had shocked the whole Sky-Flying Devil Martial School, and she had taken away the glory that belonged to him. Somehow, something in his heart had been broken. He swore that he would take back what belonged to him sooner or later, with interest. Qingqing, how confident are you in beating Yichan? The second core master of the Sky-Flying Devil Martial School somehow thought of Yichan, so he asked. Murong Qingqing's voice was light, not even 10%. Qingqing, you are too humble. You have trained your Sky Demon great art to the 13th realm. Why do you have to boost the others' morale and lower your own? Hearing Yi Chen's name, Mo Yan could not help but say, "My instinct has always been very sharp. He will not stay where he is waiting for me to surpass him." Murong Qingqing did not think that she was more talented than Si Kongsheng and Yan Qihua. Being able to train her Sky Demon great art from the 10th realm to the 13th realm was all thanks to the Sky Demon flower and the mysterious power contained in it. Once the martial art reached a higher realm, the speed of cultivation would be unimaginable, especially since the mysterious power contained in the Sky Demon flower could increase cultivation as well, since it was made from the blood of the ancient Demon King. And what kind of cultivation did the ancient Demon King have? They were all life and death realm warriors, so how could they not have the mysterious power to increase their cultivation? The second core master of the Sky Demon Martial School shook his head with a smile. He was just like Mo Yan, thinking that Murong Qingqing was just being humble. Everyone in the Sky Demon Martial School knew about Murong Qingqing's personality. She was neither arrogant nor impatient, and would never give up. Sometimes he felt that Murong Qingqing was very scary, as she did not have any mental weakness. Sensing the change in the atmosphere, Murong Qingqing shook her head slightly. She knew that the second master and Mo Yan would not believe her, but she really did not have the confidence to win against Yi Chen. Yi Chen's horrifying power was something she knew better than anyone else. If her mind was already close to perfection, then Yi Chen's mind had reached a level where he would not be affected by anything. Of course, it was only in the astral reaching realm, where the mind of a life and death realm warrior would definitely be more powerful than them. "Let's go in." The second master took a step forward, leading everyone into the blood-red swirl. Meanwhile, people from the other islands had also entered. All the rank 6 martial institutions people had been sent out, so they must have included the blood evil beast in their plan. There should not be too much danger. After half a day, a beam of blue light flashed past, landing on the nearest island. "There are a lot less people." Yi Chen frowned. In his sight, there were only a few astral-reaching realm warriors on the island, 90% less than before. Taking out his great sword and wearing it on his waist, Yi Chen did not think too much. His body flashed once and disappeared, jumping into the blood-red swirl. Chapter 351. 1,000 miles away from the mass grave, near a transportation door, a human figure appeared out of nowhere. "Let's go check out the mass grave first." Flying into the sky, Yi Chen looked around and soon found a reference point. His Zhen Yuan exploded, and his whole body turned into a beam of blue light, disappearing from where he was standing. 1,000 miles took less than 15 minutes to travel. When Yi Chen was less than 10 miles away from the mass grave, he pushed his soul power and spread it out in a fan shape. 125 extreme astral reaching realm warriors. That person's clothes have the symbol of the floating mountain martial school. He should be an extreme astral reaching realm warrior from the floating mountain martial school. Yi Chen's soul power was already very powerful. With the increase of his cultivation, the scanning range of his soul power was getting wider and wider. If he were to scan in one direction, 10 miles would not be a problem at all. Even the slightest movement would be captured by his mind. It seems a bit different. There is a huge amount of power of nothingness gathered on his body. It is the will power, which is different from the sword intent. Frowning, Yi Chen could deeply feel the power of Shen Tujue's will power. Others might not know that I killed Taoist Jin Huang, but he should know. To the Hanging Mountain, Taoist Jin Huang isn't a big deal. What's important is face. They won't let the murderer live. If word got out, how could they keep their face? Yi Chen did not need to guess. The possibility of him reconciling with the floating mountain martial school was almost zero. On the other side of the road, Bloodsword and Master Blood Demon were flying at a moderate speed. Extreme astral reaching realm warriors would not care about the blood evil stone. Our opponents are people who are below the extreme astral reaching realm. Master Blood Demon said. Bloodsword said coldly, "Just kill them. Killing is for sure. But it would be best not to touch the rank 6 martial schools unless we can kill all the evidence." Master Blood Demon was not arrogant enough to challenge a rank 6 martial school. Not to mention him, even the elders of the 9 Ghost cult would not dare to challenge a rank 6 martial school. Of course, it would only be temporary. 2 hours later, the two arrived at the edge of the mass grave. With a single glance, Master Blood Demon saw white bone, who was wearing a black robe. That year, the Nine Evil cult had 108 great ghost generals, but in the end only 30% of them survived. Among those who survived were the 3 strongest ghost generals of the Nine Evil cult, and Whitebone was one of them. Although Whitebone Ghost General won't let me have the Blood Evil Stone with him around, it's almost certain that I'll get the Blood Evil Companion Stone. Master Blood Demon revealed a faint look of joy. His gaze subconsciously shifted. Suddenly he noticed Yi-chan several miles to his left. It's him. Bloodsword also noticed Yi-chan and sneered, seeking his own death. It's not up to him anymore. Whoosh! A blood mark flashed in the air as Bloodsword dashed towards Yi-chan at an extreme speed. Master Blood Demon was a little hesitant. After thinking about it, he followed Bloodsword Artist. Bloodsword Art. Taking out his long sword from its scabbard, Bloodsword threw a sword attack towards Yi-chan from hundreds of meters away. Yi-chan had already noticed Bloodsword and Master Blood Demon. His face was indifferent and his eyes were cold, as if he was looking at 2 dead men. A dark blue sword light shot out from his scabbard. Chin. The air vibrated as Bloodsword's sword light was shattered. Die! Master Blood Demon held his blood-red stick with both of his hands, performing his major Blood Demon body separating great art. With a sweep of his stick, the air in front of him was sucked out, creating a vacuum world. The misty longsword in my soul sea should be a sword intent. I just happen to not have anyone to test it on. Holding the dark blue longsword in his right hand, it was a mid-rank Thunder attributed great sword. Yi-chan had given it a name Thunder Lock. The Thunder Lock sword was extremely compatible with the Thunder mentality. When he threw out a sword attack, it was no longer a sword, but a Thunder Light, including Master Blood Demon and Bloodsword Artist. Pop! Thunder Flash. Master Blood Demon was blown back with a horrified expression. His tiger palm holding the stick had been shaken to the point of numbness, and streams of blood flowed down. Bloodsword was not any better. He could only see the thunder light in front of him, and an immortal will had shattered his sword intent, affecting his protective Zhanyuan. Pooh! His sword intent shattered, and Bloodsword puked out a blood arrow. Completed sword intent. No, it is a sword spirit embryo. Bloodsword could not believe it. Yi-chen's cultivation base was only at mid-astral reaching realm, so how could his sword intent be this powerful? Moreover, it had reached the stage of condensing sword spirit. It should be known that sword spirit was much harder to condense than martial spirit. Many people might not even be able to successfully condense sword spirit after reaching the Sea of Souls realm. Condensing sword spirit was several times harder than condensing martial spirit. Correspondingly, once one managed to condense sword spirit, even if it was just a sword spirit embryo, its attacking power would reach a whole new level. Damn it! Retreat! Bloodsword was shocked and angry at the same time. It had only been a few days, but Yi-chen's power had already completely surpassed them. Thinking of what Yi-chan had said in the mass grave, an intense hatred rose up in his heart. Anyone who offended him, Bloodsword, would not be able to live in peace. This kid, he had to kill him and his whole family. Otherwise, he would not be able to resolve the hatred in his heart. Retreat! Master Blood Demon was terrified. Everyone called him a demon, but in his eyes, Yi-chan was even more frightening than a demon. If he did not kill him, he would not be able to eat or sleep in peace. Only by escaping to Whitebone's vicinity would he be able to gather a few people's power and kill Yi-chan together. Where do you think you are going? Yi-chan aimed at the two's escape route and performed his sky-shattering clouds. Pop! 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 Thunder light exploded in the sky, and the wind and clouds surged. One after another, small mountains cracked open, and the insides were scorched black. Brother Whitebone, save me! Pushing his Zhanyuan to its limit, Master Blood Demon took a deep breath and sent a message to Whitebone, who was miles away. Whitebone turned his head suspiciously. Someone is chasing after Master Blood Demon. It is a young man. Master Blood Demon, come to me. I will make sure you are safe. Whitebone made a face, not taking Yi-chan seriously at all. After getting the reply, Master Blood Demon felt a bit better. He said to Bloodsword, "This kid will not live for long. Don't worry. You and I will retreat to a safe area first." He did not care about Bloodsword's life or death. If he could join the 9 Ghost Cults camp, then it would be great. Top astral-reaching realm warriors were not that common in the South Rudra region. Plus, with Bloodsword's talent, it would not be impossible for him to become a Sea of Souls realm warrior in the future. Alright. Bloodsword could guess what Master Blood Demon was thinking. He hesitated a bit but eventually agreed. After reaching his level, the biggest hope was to reach the Sea of Souls realm. Being alone, there would be a limit to what he could do. This time, with the appearance of the Blood Evil Beast, if he could get enough Blood Evil Stones, it would be very useful for him. He might even be able to form a sword spirit. Green Lotus Sky. Green Lotus Accumulation. Putting the Thunder Sword back into its scabbard, Yichun took out his greenwood sword and waved it in the air. The air seemed to have been frozen, as countless green lotuses appeared out of nowhere, surrounding Bloodsword and Master Blood Demon. Open for me. Boom! The two attacked a certain spot together, opening up a gap. Swoosh! Before they could get out of the range of the sword attacks, a fist-sized green lotus shot over, carrying a powerful sword intent. It was unbelievably fast as it pierced through Bloodsword's shoulder. Blood splashed out from his back as Bloodsword screamed, "You dare to hurt me? From now on I will kill all of your family members. Do you really think you can leave this place alive? Today the mass grave will be your burial ground." Green Lotus Chi Transmutation. Sensing the power of the sword intent, Yichun did not perform his ace attacks anymore. Instead, he performed the basic sword movement of the Green Lotus sword arts. As he threw out a sword attack, a huge green lotus appeared in front of him. The lotus opened up, shooting out countless blue sword chi like a porcupine shooting out its spikes. Shoo! 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 The sword chi was like rain, spreading out in the surreal space, blocking all of the two's escape routes. Ding! Dang! Bloodsword and Master Blood Demon waved their weapons, blocking out the dense sword chi. Pooh! Pooh! These sword chi were not normal sword chi, but sword chi condensed with a powerful sword intent. Each attack contained an unimaginable power, as well as an indestructible willpower. Bloodsword's right arm felt numb for a while, as his right arm had been cut off by a sword chi. The pain made his face pale. Master Blood Demon used his Blood Demon clone to block in front of him, helping him remove some of the sword chi. With their cooperation, there were also some sword wounds on his body, making him bleed profusely. Green Lotus Mountain. The sword rain had just passed when a huge green lotus-imprinted sword light tore open the surreal space, shooting out from above. The horrifying sword intent pierced through the surreal space. What a powerful sword intent! At the critical moment, a 10-meter-long bone claw blocked in front of the sword light. Gotcha! The bone claw was full of cracks, shattering in all directions. Metal mentality. There is another special mentality, which is very tenacious. Seeing the bone claw blocking the sword light, Yichun frowned slightly. Apart from the metal mentality, there was another mentality on the bone claw, which was as tenacious as bones, containing a life force. A black shadow flashed, and white bone appeared in front of Bloodsword and Master Blood Demon. He looked at Yichun with interest. Interesting. You have already condensed a sword soul embryo at such a young age. Unfortunately, your cultivation is a bit lacking. I have a pellet here. Swallow it and I will spare your life. Shadow explosion. Yichun ignored Whitebone's appearance, and his body exploded in all directions. Countless shadows rushed out like a flood, drowning the three within. The sword light flashed. Bloodsword and Master Blood Demon's heads flew up, their eyes wide open. The two had just let out a sigh of relief when they died completely. Whitebone reached out his huge hand, tearing apart a huge number of shadows. The remaining shadows merged into one, which was hundreds of meters away from Whitebone. With a gloomy look in his eyes, Whitebone looked at Blood Demon and Master Blood Demon's heads and said, "You have missed your chance to live." Putting the greenwood sword back into its scabbard, Yichun said indifferently, "Your power is far from enough." Seeking death. Whitebone opened his mouth and roared. Both of his hands tore through the air, and dozens of white claw lights shot out. They were both heavy and light at the same time. Taking out the destruction sword, Yichun performed the fast mentality, shattering all of the incoming claw lights. Following the sword aura, Yichun rushed toward Whitebone. He threw out a sword attack that seemed fast but was actually slow. He switched from fast mentality to slow mentality without any pause in the middle. What? Whitebone backed out hurriedly. During the process, his body shone with a white light, and a whitebone armor made of Zhan Yuan appeared on his body, blocking out Yi Chen's attack. Crack! The broken light shot out, and the speed of the Ghost General's retreat increased drastically. Chapter 352. Fast 4 Swords. After the first sword, the next 3 swords were like lightning, each faster and heavier than the last. By the time of the last sword, Yi Chen's sword aura had accumulated to the limit. Like a river that had opened its floodgates, it poured down and heavily chopped on Whitebone's chest. Puff! Even though he had condensed a layer of Zhan Yuan armor outside his body, with a mid-grade defensive armor inside, Whitebone still spurted out a mouthful of blood. His chest seemed to have been pierced through. Piercing through a small hill, Whitebone's face was aghast. Was there such a fast sword art? After being hit by one sword, the next 3 were all solid, leaving him no chance to escape. Who is this guy? He actually suppressed an extreme astral reaching expert to the point where he couldn't even retaliate. He seems quite young. Around 20 years old, wearing blue clothes. If my guess is correct, it should be Yi Chen. Yi Chen? The most powerful genius in 1,000 years of Hidden Dragon list. The one who opened the Hidden Dragon secret realm. Yi Chen. It's only been 2 years. How can his battle power be so powerful? The commotion caused by the battle between the two was huge. All the astral-reaching experts within dozens of li were attracted, especially the experts from the 6 great grade 6 sections. It's him. Yan Qihua's expression froze. In his line of sight, Yi Chen, dressed in blue clothes, had his left hand on his scabbard while his right hand was pointing the longsword. His pupils were as gentle as water, emitting a cold light. His body didn't move, but a sky-piercing sword aura locked onto Whitebone, who was several li away. Why is he progressing faster than me? Yan Qihua was extremely unconvinced. He thought that Yi Chen would at most reach the peak of early astral reaching realm, and even if he was more powerful than him, it would be limited. However, in these 2 years, not only had his cultivation base reached the peak of early astral reaching realm, his blade intent had also reached 80%, and his 9-twist fire spirit art had also reached the 8th transformation. In the floating mountain, no expert below late astral reaching realm would be his opponent. Who would have thought that not only would Yi Chen's cultivation base surpass his battle power would also be dozens of times more powerful. He could even suppress an extreme astral reaching realm expert. It should be known that there were only about 5 extreme astral reaching realm experts in the South Rudra region, and including those hidden in the dark, there wouldn't be more than 10. Meanwhile, Yan Qihua was still 4 levels away from the extreme astral reaching realm, namely late astral reaching realm, powerful astral reaching realm, peak astral reaching realm, and extreme astral reaching realm. Each level was not that easy to reach. Therefore, Yan Qihua was unconvinced. How could Yi Chen become an extreme astral reaching realm expert in one fell swoop? He must have had a great adventure. Unable to find a reason to convince himself, Yan Qihua subconsciously thought that Yi Chen had succeeded because of a great adventure. Indeed, no wonder Sikong Shang did not stay in the South Rudra region any longer. He waited until he became the king of the young generation before leaving. It was because he knew that he could not win against Yi Chen. Only by making a breakthrough in another region would he come back and challenge Yi Chen. The king of the young generation in the South Rudra region would not change for the next 5 years. Li Daoxian tightened his left hand on the sword hilt. Li Daoxian let out a breath, and the battle intent on his body dissipated. Only his fighting spirit was burning brighter and brighter. Sai, the second core elder of the Heartless Martial School, sighed. Although he was the core elder of the Heartless Martial School, he had to admit that no one in the young generation could compete with Yi Chen. This kind of situation had not happened for hundreds of years. So many top geniuses were suppressed by an even more powerful genius, losing their splendor. Sensing Li Daoxuan's fighting spirit, he smiled. Perhaps this was also a good thing. In the young generation that had grown up with Xian Ho, the lowest achievement was the Sea of Soul realm, while the highest had also entered the Life and Death realm. There was an insurmountable mountain, which was a lifelong challenge for the young generation. The timid ones did not even have the qualifications to look up to the mountain. Only the brave ones could surpass themselves. Her whole body was shrouded in cold qi. Bingling's skin was as white as snow, and her black pupils were like 10,000 years old ice. There was no change in her expression, as if Yi Chen's power was already within her expectations. Therefore she was not surprised, nor was she shaken. Her heart was crystal clear. Continue to be powerful. I will chase after you. Standing on the bloody mountain peak, Bingling's temperament seemed exceptionally cold. Pa! The ground cracked and Mo Yan's whole body froze. He unconsciously rubbed the hard rock, which was corroded into powder by Zhang Yuan. Mo Yan, the second core elder of the sky-flying demon sect, reminded him. Mo Yan woke up with a start. Second elder. The second elder said, a momentary lead does not mean a lifetime lead. Maintain your own heart. I know. Mo Yan said so, but he felt extremely sullen inwardly. His originally natural standing posture suddenly tensed up, making him feel extremely uncomfortable. How could the second elder not hear the insincerity in Mo Yan's words? He smiled bitterly and shifted his gaze to Murong Qingcheng. Before entering the blood demon battlefield, she said that she had no 10% chance. Could it be that she had met Yi Chen before? After all, who would have thought that Yi Chen could contend against extreme astral reaching experts? It should be known that Murong Qingcheng's battle strength was equivalent to a powerful astral reaching expert, and was close to peak astral reaching experts. Not even 10% chance. In the end, Murong Qingcheng had underestimated Yi Chen. In fact, she had guessed that Yi Chen's battle strength was equal to hers, and her chances of victory were not more than 10%. This was where Yi Chen's strength lay. Not to mention that their battle strength was equal, even in a disadvantageous situation. He had the power to reverse the situation. Not to mention that his battle strength had reached the limits of astral reaching realm. Rumble! The mountain peak exploded and Whitebone rushed out. I'll make you pay the price. The black robe on Whitebone's body was tattered, and a surging white aura soared into the horizon, tearing apart the bloody clouds. The air around the destruction sword fiercely twisted, and the cold sword light flickered. Yi Chen said indifferently, do you think there's any meaning in saying these words now? As a sword artist, Yi Chen had never lacked confidence. If he couldn't defeat his opponent at the same level, it would be his failure. What was the point of defeating the weak with the strong? The 4 sword strikes just now were nothing profound. They were merely 4 quick sword strikes linked together. One less sword strike would not reach its peak, and one more would be superfluous, turning the sword aura from strong to weak. White bone cage. With a cold voice, Whitebone rapidly formed seals with both hands. Following the changes of the seals, the surrounding yuan qi of the heaven and earth rapidly fluctuated. Incorporeal ripples radiated in all directions, collapsing the nearby bloody mountains and spreading cracks everywhere. Clang! In the void, countless white bones formed a huge white bone cage. Each bone was as thick as a person's waist, circulating with a cold white light. At the same time, 2 mentalities pervaded the air. One was the mentality of metal, and the other was an extremely tenacious mentality. This mentality was Whitebone's unique bone mentality. Human bones were not inanimate objects, and had the unique ability to slowly strengthen. Therefore, once the white bone cage was formed, it would only become more and more tenacious, becoming indestructible. Thus Yi Chen was trapped within. Chapter 353. It seems to be the remnant of the 9 Ghosts cult, Whitebone Ghost General. How did he come to the Blood Demon battlefield? The Blood Demon battlefield is a chaotic place, and it is also at the border of the South Rudra region. Whitebone Ghost General daring to appear here in broad daylight is understandable. It would have been fine if Whitebone Ghost General didn't use his ace attacks, but once he did, that unique bone mentality in Whitebone Cage would be too eye-catching. It would be hard not to know his identity. Some of the knowledgeable people recognized Whitebone Ghost General at a glance, and the people beside them also understood after being reminded. Should we surround and kill him? After killing the Whitebone Ghost General, you will be able to obtain a huge reward from the 6 great sects, including a powerful martial art. Are you crazy? Don't you see that the other 4 extreme astral reaching realm warriors haven't made a move yet? Without them, White Bone Ghost General could easily escape. If he escapes, don't even think about having a good life in the future. The 6 great sects won't protect your family. You're right. Moreover, for extreme astral reaching realm warriors, the blood evil stones are more important. Wait until all the blood evil beasts are killed, then they will make a move. I don't want to be the first one. Some of the people who were tempted immediately dispelled their impulsive thoughts, feeling a lingering fear. So, it is White Bone Ghost General. Shen Tujue squinted his eyes. Back then, White Bone Ghost General had killed a lot of people from the Floating Mountain Martial School. Logically speaking, he should have made a move without hesitation. However, the blood evil beasts only appeared once in dozens of years. After this, he didn't know when he would be able to obtain enough blood evil stones. Therefore, compared to the blood evil stones, killing White Bone Ghost General could be put aside for a while. Then, his gaze landed on Yi-chan and sneered. This kid was indeed a threat. He was only 20 years old, but he was already an extreme astral reaching realm warrior. If he was allowed to continue growing, no one in the South Rudra region would be able to stop him. Humph, I'll let you live a little longer. When I make my move, it will be the day of your death. Shen Tujue tightened his fist and threw out an attack. That powerful fist power contained an indestructible martial will, blowing apart the blood evil beast in front of him. Unlike Shen Tujue, the Heartless Martial School's headmaster, Pei Yudao, had his eyes fixed on Yi-chan the whole time. Strange. His sword intent is obviously not complete, but it has the trend of condensing a sword spirit. No, this sword intent is similar to the natural Chasm Gorge's sword intent, containing the same profound of immortality. Could this be the biggest reason for him to condense his martial spirit earlier? Pei Yudao was very confused. Without the complete sword intent, it should be impossible to condense a sword spirit, even if it was just the embryonic form of a sword spirit. However, Yi-chan had done it. The sword spirit itself is not that different. They are both the embodiment of the sword will. Only the Battle King 500 years ago had created a completely different kind of sword spirit, which was immortal and indestructible. With one sword strike, the powerful sword intent had existed in the gorge for 500 years, making him one of the top 3 sword artists in the history of the true spirit continent. The first 2 were sword artists from the ancient era, while the other was the number 1 sword artist in the medieval era. To be able to be on the same level as them, it was enough to prove the Battle King's achievement in the sword art. Unfortunately, after that battle 500 years ago, no one knows where the Battle King had gone, or whether he was dead or alive. Pei Yudao looked at Yi-chan with a bright light in his eyes. Crack! Crack! The white bone cage was formed at an extremely fast speed. Once it was formed, it started to shrink. The sound of bones squeezing against each other could be heard continuously, which was extremely ear-piercing. Ting! The sword light shot out, and a waist-thick white bone appeared with a deep sword mark. Bone chips flew everywhere. So hard! Yi-chan was shocked. Although that sword attack just now was just a normal sword attack, under the infusion of sword intent, even a peak astral reaching expert would be heavily wounded. But a white bone condensed from Zhen Yuan had blocked it. How could he not be shocked? White Bone Ghost General laughed. Give up struggling. If your cultivation base were a bit higher, you might be able to break through the white bone cage. Unfortunately, you're only a mid-astral reaching expert. Relying on the quality of Zhen Yuan, you have such battle power. However, the gap between realms isn't that easy to make up for. Peak late astral reaching experts' Zhen Yuan output far exceeds mid-astral reaching experts. The difference in realms was not only the difference in the quality and quantity of Zhen Yuan, but also in many details. For example, the output of Zhen Yuan. If a late astral reaching expert could output 10 units of Zhen Yuan in a split second, then a mid-astral reaching expert could output 8 to 9 units at most. White Bone Ghost General's cultivation base had long since reached the peak late astral reaching realm. Under his all-out Zhen Yuan output, he could create a huge white bone cage. If an ordinary mid-astral reaching expert or even late astral reaching expert were to be trapped inside, they wouldn't even be able to come out within 2 to 4 hours, unless White Bone stopped his Zhen Yuan output. Not necessarily. Bang! One of the white bones was covered in cracks, seeming to be on the verge of collapse. What? White Bone Ghost General almost bit the tip of his tongue. The speed at which his 2 hands formed seals increased, and the abundant Zhenyuan passed through the seals, adding to the white bone cage in a strange way. The white bone cage shrunk smaller and smaller, eventually maintaining a width of 5 meters. Putting the destruction sword back into its scabbard, Yichun held the greenwood sword in his hand. The greenwood sword was compatible with the green lotus sword arts, complementing each other. As the sword slashed out, a green radiance pervaded the air, and a huge green lotus was imprinted on the cold sword light. With a thunderous momentum, it heavily slashed at a certain point on the white bone cage. Gotcha! This point seemed to be the weak point of the white bone cage. Finger-thick cracks rapidly spread out, and the place where the force was applied even bulged outwards. You can't break through the white bone cage. Die! White Bone Ghost General's 10 fingers cracked open, and blood spurted out. The speed of Zhenyuan output suddenly doubled, and in about 3 breaths' time, his 10 fingers pressed together, letting out a small explosive sound as he roared, white bone piercing spikes. Puff 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 puff. Several meters long bone spikes appeared in the white bone cage. Some were long, some were short, some were thick, and some were thin. Some were straight like spears, some were curved like blades, some had forks at the front, and some even produced violent explosions, sending tiny bone spikes flying in all directions. Green Lotus Chi Transformation. Explode. Being in the middle of the white bone cage, no matter how fast Yichen's sword speed was, it would be impossible for him to block out all the attacks coming from all directions. He was not in a hurry at all. The greenwood sword circled around his body, and countless green lotuses appeared out of nowhere. The lotuses expanded and countless sword chi blossomed, welcoming the attacks coming from all directions. If the storm was extremely noisy, then the sound of Yichun blocking out the bone spikes was dozens of times louder than the storm. The concentrated sound of the spikes spread out, and if it were a normal person, even just hearing the sound would make their heart speed up, and they would die on the spot. Green Lotus Accumulation. Shrinking his soul power into a 5-meter radius, Yichun quickly found a huge flaw while blocking out the bone spikes. This flaw existed at the same time as the white bone cage's attack, and was the side effect of the Zhenyuan change. Of course, if the white bone ghost general did not attack Yichun, within 3 or 4 sword attacks, Yichun would still be able to break out of the cage. Cutting down the incoming bone spikes, Yichun stabbed his sword into the white bone. A dot of blue light lit up on the tip of the sword, and a green lotus rapidly expanded from that dot. It forcibly broke the white bone cage and exploded, shooting out towards the white bone ghost general who was hundreds of meters away. Chin! The shockwave spread out, and the white bone ghost general's seal formation was forcibly broken. The white bone cage shattered by itself, turning into Zhenyuan and normal natural Yuan Qi, disappearing into the surreal space. After breaking out of the cage, Yichun did not even think before performing the 8th movement of the Green Lotus sword arts, the Green Lotus sprouting, which was also his most powerful sword movement. The sword light crisscrossed, incomparably powerful. The white bone ghost general had the thought of retreating. Yichen's strength was beyond his imagination. Today, he finally understood the terror of the number 1 genius of South Rudra region. If he didn't retreat, he would very likely be injured if the battle dragged on. In the eyes of numerous astral-reaching experts, he would definitely be the target to be rewarded. He had no choice but to consider it. Using killing moves one after another, the white bone ghost general counteracted the sword light. Not good. The sword light was shattered and turned into an even more powerful sword light. Caught off guard, the white bone armor on white bone's body exploded. The mid-rank defensive great armor neutralized a part of the power, and the rest of the power poured into his body. Puff! Spurting out a mouthful of blood, the white bone ghost general had at least 4 or 5 of his ribs broken, and one of them had pierced into his internal organs. Even the slightest movement would cause a heart-wrenching pain. Towering Green Lotus. The Green Lotus germination was just a part of the process. The second half of the Green Lotus Skysoar was the essence of the 8th style. The sword beam shone brightly like a towering tree devouring white bone. It rushed into the mountain a mile away and quickly took root. From afar, the gigantic sword beam looked like a towering tree, and white bone was at the roots of the tree, looking extremely pathetic. Blood spurted out from his 7 orifices as he shattered the sword light. Just as he was about to rush out of the mountain, a blood light suddenly flickered, and a slender blood shadow pierced through the ghost general's head. By the time the slender blood shadow left, the ghost general had already turned into a dried corpse, without any signs of life. The ghost general of a generation was ultimately killed by the blood evil beast. It could not be denied that it was an irony. Huff! Letting out a breath, Yi-chan relaxed his taut nerves. The white bone ghost general was different from the blood demon. He was a veteran extreme astral reaching expert. Even if his battle power had greatly increased and he didn't fear any extreme astral reaching expert, killing the white bone ghost general would still be a very difficult task. After killing the white bone ghost general, the color of the blood evil beast became increasingly rich. It unexpectedly swept towards Yi-chan, its wriggling body streaking through the air without a single air-piercing sound. Die! At this moment, Yi-chan didn't fear the blood evil beast at all. Without retreating or dodging, he quickly slashed out with his sword. Puff! The sword light cleaved open the blood evil beast's body. However, the blood evil beast's recovery power was even higher than the blood demon's, and it soon recovered to its original state. Yi-chan was already mentally prepared. The 7th style of the Green Lotus sword art, Green Lotus Sky, froze the blood evil beast's body. Countless green lotuses turned into sword chi, cutting the blood evil beast into nothingness. Pata! A blood-red stone fell off. Yi-chan could see the extraordinariness of the stone, so he tried to absorb it. Little bastard, you don't have the qualifications to obtain the blood evil stone. Leave it to me, Shen Tujua. A huge hand burning with Zhan Yuan pierced through the air, grabbing the blood evil stone before retreating. It was precisely Shen Tujua who had seized the opportunity. Chapter 354. Let go. How could Yi-chan allow Shen Tujua to snatch his things? Seeing that the Zhan Yuan giant hand was about to return to its starting point, Yi-chan didn't have time to think. His left index finger pointed in the air, and a deep azure sword chi shot out. It was precisely the increasingly powerful Green Lotus sword chi. Pung! The Green Lotus sword chi cut on the Zhan Yuan giant hand one after another, bursting forth with Zhan Yuan sparks. The intense shockwave collapsed the nearby mountains. Come back! The Zhan Yuan giant hand shattered, and the infant fist-sized blood evil stone turned into a bloodline, falling in Yi-chen's hand. What a fierce evil chi! As soon as the blood evil stone entered his hand, a strand of evil chi drilled into Yi-chen's mind, attacking him again and again. Fortunately, Yi-chen's sword intent was extraordinary, easily guarding his mind and soul. No matter how the evil chi attacked, he remained unmoved. The surrounding astral reaching experts were stupefied. What kind of person was Shen Tujua? He was the core elder of Floating Mountain, one of the extreme astral reaching experts of South Rudra region. With a single word, his subordinates could annihilate a grade 7 sect. Undersea of Soul Realm, there was almost no one and no power in South Rudra region that could threaten him. And now Yi-chen actually dared to resist Shen Tujua. It should be known that Shen Tujua was different from White Bone Ghost General. The latter was a loner, while the former was peak in both strength and power. The spirit of South Rudra region's #1 genius is indeed extraordinary. With such spirit, as long as he doesn't die, he will certainly have great accomplishments in the future. At this moment, the powerful astral-reaching experts of Blood Demon Battlefield recognized Yi-chan for the first time, and were impressed by his bearing and courage. Shen Tujua's face alternated between green and red as he said in a low voice, "Little bastard, don't think that you can escape with your life just because you have the strength of an extreme astral-reaching expert. I'll let you know right now what it means to be a mantis trying to stop a chariot." As his voice faded, Shen Tujua's body shook, causing the void to sway as he threw a punch at Yi-chan. Rumble! This punch contained the unparalleled heavy concept of earth. Under the reinforcement of Yi-chen's martial will, the air exploded layer by layer and extended rapidly toward Yi-chan. As he floated in midair, Yi-chan wasn't afraid in the slightest. With a flick of his wrist, sword lights rose explosively, and one could faintly see that the surface of every sword light of various sizes was branded with a lifelike azure lotus. Dong! The earth split apart. Yi Chan and Shun Tuju both slid back a dozen steps, the tyrannical shock waves constantly pressuring their bodies. What a strong will. It's like a great river. This was the first time Yi Chan had felt the power of will from a martial artist. It was different from the extremely condensed sword intent. Although the martial artist's will was integrated into one, it had a huge range, and it had the feeling of suppressing others with its power. Because of this, although Yi Chen's willpower was inferior to Shin Tuju's, he was able to contend against his opponent in terms of offense. Shin Tuju's eyebrows twitched. 5 years ago, he had obtained a blood evil stone, and the total amount of his martial will far surpassed other martial artists of the same level. Although his martial will wasn't as concentrated as his sword will, no matter what, his cultivation and realm surpassed Yi Chen's. Interesting. If you can receive my next attack, I'll let you die a quick death. I'll only kill half of the people related to you. Shin Tuju fiercely raised his chi and pushed his hands upwards. A vast and terrifying power rose up, causing the surrounding area to tremble and the air to distort. Seeing Shin Tuju's strange state, the Fire Spirit Hall's Grand Elder Qi Jinyan was somewhat puzzled. It seemed that his opponent was going to use that strange martial art. However, was Yi Chan worth it? In Qi Jinyan's view, besides his sword intent and sword moves, Yi Chan didn't have any other strong points. Dragon Elephant Strength Technique. As Shin Tuju's voice resounded, waves of majestic dragon roars and elephant trumpeting sounds that ordinary people couldn't hear came from his body. Floating in the air, Shin Tuju's aura rose endlessly, as if he was the center of this area, the king of this area. Kacha! Stretching out his right hand, Shin Tuju exerted strength in his arm, uprooting a nearby mountain that was thousands of meters tall, and throwing it towards Yi Chan. The scene of a mountain flying at several times the speed of sound was too terrifying. In the air, thunder and lightning intersected and dark clouds covered the sky, as if the end of the world had arrived. All sound was isolated outside, nothing could be heard, nothing could be felt, and even time seemed to have stopped. In the distance, Mo Yen sneered. As an elder of the Sky-Flying Demon Martial School, he had some understanding of the top martial arts of all the rank 6 martial schools. The martial art that Shin Tuju had used was not unique to the Floating Mountain Martial School, but a powerful supplementary martial art that he had obtained by chance. It was said that once this martial art was used, the power would increase by 10 times, and it would have the power of Dragon Elephant. Tearing mountains and splitting the earth would be a piece of cake. 5 years ago, Shin Tuju was an extreme astral-reaching expert second only to Pei Yu Dao. Now that his power has increased by a lot, he has even surpassed Pei Yu Dao. Yi Chen will definitely not be able to block him. Mo Yan's eyes were burning with passion, looking forward to the scene of Yi Chan being crushed into a bloody pulp. Dragon Elephant Strength Technique? For some reason, Yi Chan thought of the unknown fist art that he had bought in the Martial City Trading Palace. The first 2 words of that fist art were also Dragon Elephant. The flying mountain was too big, covering more than 10 li. Even if Yi Chen's speed was faster, he wouldn't be able to avoid it, and would instead be at a disadvantage. Therefore, facing such a huge monster, Yi Chan could only do one thing, and that was to face it with all his strength. Shoo! Chin! Putting the greenwood sword back into its scabbard, the thunder sword came out of its scabbard. The green lotus Zhan Yuan inside Yi Chen's body was pushed to the limit, and the strength that he normally didn't use was also brought out, gathering on his right arm. With a creaking sound, Yi Chen's right arm swelled up. The powerful muscles pushed up his clothes, filling it with a layer of jade color. Sky-shattering clouds. Exerting strength from his waist, the power traveled along his spine to his right arm. Yi Chan held the sword with both hands, and the sword carried the might of thunder as it heavily chopped towards the mountain. Crack! The sword light was like a thunderbolt, hitting the weakest part of the mountain. No sound came out because it had already been annihilated. In the sky, one after another, soundless thunder rumbled down like rain. In the next second, the sky was filled with broken rocks like a fountain, spraying towards the sky. Each piece contained an astonishing amount of electricity. Blocked it? Mo Yan's gloating expression stiffened. Shin Tuju's expression froze. Then he roared, "Let's see how you block it this time." Rumble. 2 mountains were uprooted, smashing towards Yi Chan from both sides. Chop! Green lotus seizing light. The greenwood sword was unsheathed, and Yi-chan chopped out with the thunder sword in his right hand, while his right hand raised the greenwood sword to block. A several-meter-wide green lotus appeared in the air, looking vivid and lifelike. A sharp green chi spread out, forming a tough defensive area. Buzz! The mountain on the right shattered, while the mountain on the left smashed into the green lotus. From afar, Yi-chan's figure could not be seen at all. After all, compared to the 1,000-meter-tall, several-meter-wide mountain, the several-meter-wide green lotus and the 2-meter-tall Yi-chan looked very small. Without considering the result, it could be described as a mantis trying to stop a chariot. The greenwood sword trembled, and the momentum of the mountain was reduced, bouncing back in the opposite direction. After smashing the flying mountain into pieces with a palm, Shuntuju was just about to make his move. Suddenly, a slender blood shadow scuttled out from a relatively larger boulder inside the mountain. This blood shadow's body was like a snake, but its front end began to have the shape of a beast. There were even 2 tiny front limbs growing out of its body. Semi-beast blood evil beast. Among the blood evil beasts, the beast blood evil beasts were the most powerful, and the demi-beast blood evil beasts were second. Normal blood evil beasts had long bodies. In terms of battling power, any extreme astral reaching realm warrior could beat it. Shoo! The demi-beast blood evil beast shot out, trying to devour Shuntuju. Not good. Shuntuju was very clear about the power of the demi-beast blood evil beast, which was powerful enough to compete with the most powerful extreme astral reaching realm warriors. As for the beast blood evil beasts, no one under the Sea of Souls realm could rival them. They were rather nature-defying existences, and could not be easily seen. Otherwise, even 5 or 6 extreme astral reaching realm warriors would not be its opponent. Dragon Elephant Shield. With a wave of his hands, the air in front of Shuntuju's chest twisted. A mighty dragon roar and elephant cry soared into the sky, blocking out the demi-beast blood evil beast's attack. Boom! After his defense was shattered, Shuntuju's face turned pale as he was blown back. It is a demi-beast blood evil beast. The white-robed blade artist's breathing accelerated. Goldrock chuckled. The blood evil stone inside the demi-beast blood evil beast is 3 to 4 times more effective than normal stones. As long as I can get one, condensing the blade soul would not be a problem at all. I might even be able to condense the blade soul in one go. Then, reaching the Sea of Souls realm in the future would not be that hard anymore. The blood evil stone was too important for astral reaching realm warriors. Without enough blood evil stone to refine their willpower, they would have to rely on their own efforts. Warriors who were not that talented would never be able to reach the Sea of Souls realm. Therefore, this blood evil stone was something that the white-robed blade artist had to obtain. Silent Sword. Pei Yudao was the first to attack. He immediately used the ace attack of the emotionless sword arts. The sword light was extremely condensed, and it was completely silent. Shoo! A sword mark appeared on the demi-beast blood evil beast's forehead. Such a powerful defense. Frowning, Pei Yudao made up his mind and burned his Zhan Yuan to its limit. His body flashed as he charged toward the demi-beast blood evil beast. Pei Yudao, this blood evil beast does not belong to you alone. The other 3 extreme astral reaching realm warriors also attacked. This blood red stone is not a simple item. It has the effect of training the willpower. And this blood evil beast is several times more powerful than normal ones. The blood red stone inside its body should be even more effective. I cannot let it go. Willpower and sword intent were 2 different concepts. A powerful will did not mean a powerful sword intent. But, a powerful will meant that the potential of the sword intent would be correspondingly powerful, and the speed of training would be a lot faster. Moreover, Yi-chan had some understanding of Shuntuju's willpower. It should be pure willpower, and there would not be many changes. Once the blood red stone landed in their hands, it could easily increase their willpower, unlike the sword intent, which had a transformation process. Therefore, the blood red stone could increase the power of Shuntuju, and the others even faster. It would be a bit difficult for sword artists to use it. Understanding the key, Yi-chan started to calculate, planning to snatch the food from the tiger's mouth. Chapter 355. Yi-chan did not rush up immediately. He was very clear that the beast was not that easy to deal with. If he went up now, it would be useless. This was going to be a long battle. Extinguishing his burning Zhanyuan, Yichun swallowed a meridian-repairing pill. Then, he coldly watched the fierce battle between the beast and the two. Damn it! A few miles away, Shun Tujue spat out a mouthful of blood. The full power attack from the beast had left him with a light injury. Fortunately, this injury was nothing. What made him angry was that because of the appearance of the beast, he was faced with two choices: to kill Yichun, or to snatch the Blood Evil Stone from the beast. It had to be known that this Blood Evil Stone was equivalent to 3 or 4 ordinary Blood Evil Stones. Moreover, its evil chi was much purer and easier to use. If he missed this opportunity, it would be hard to get another one in the future. Count yourself lucky. After hesitating for a while, Shun Tujue turned around and pounced at the beast. Compared to killing Yichun, fighting for the Blood Evil Stone was more attractive. Get lost. The vigorous dragon form technique was pushed to its peak. Every move of Shun Tujue's contained the power of the dragon and elephant. He punched out, causing the void to tremble. The white-robed bladesman, who was fighting with the Blood Evil Beast, was shaken to the side, allowing him to snatch an excellent position. The white-robed blade artist's face turned gloomy. In terms of strength, although he was not as strong as Shun Tujue, who had condensed the embryonic form of his martial spirit, the gap was very small. If he could not beat his opponent, then Shun Tujue would not be able to do anything to him. What he was afraid of was Shun Tujue's identity as the core elder of Floating Mountain. One blade, 7 flashes. With a domineering look in his eyes, the white-robed blade artist waved his blade towards the beast and Shun Tujue. 7 blade lights flashed continuously, dazzling the eyes of the surrounding people. You're courting death. The tyrannical marshal will not only amplify Shun Tujue's attack, it also amplified his defense. Moreover, the white-robed bladesman still had some misgivings in his heart, and did not focus all of his attacks on Shun Tujue's body. He only brushed past Shun Tujue slightly. Therefore, apart from the distortion of his protective Zhanyuan, Shun Tujue did not receive any injuries. Even so, Shun Tujue still flew into a rage, and listed the white-robed bladesman as a must-kill target. The white-robed bladesman said coldly, "Ever since I, Wang Pao, comprehended saber intent, I have never feared anyone. Shun Tujue, if you want to fight, I will accompany you." "Wang Pao, just you wait." Shun Tujue issued a warning. The two of them spoke ruthlessly, but in fact they did not intend to fight immediately. If they could get the Blood Evil Stone from the half-beast Blood Evil Beast, it would be more meaningful than killing 100 people. Noticing this scene, Yichun revealed a pensive expression. It seemed like the Shun Tujue had been in a high position for a long time, and did not put anyone outside of the rank 6 martial schools in his eyes. No matter what he did, he would not allow others to resist. Unfortunately, as an extreme astral-reaching blade artist, how could he not have his own dignity? The enemy of an enemy was a friend. Shoo! Right at this moment, Pei Yudao used his most powerful ace. The long sword in his hand trembled, and a cold star suddenly appeared, shooting towards the center of the half-beast Blood Evil Beast's body, where the Blood Evil Stone was located. With a puff sound, the cold star pierced through the half-beast's body. However, the opponent's movements were extremely fast. With a slight twist of its body, the cold star merely brushed past the Blood Evil Stone. Looking at it with the naked eye, one could clearly see the Blood Evil Stone on the other side of the hole. Pei Yudao sighed inwardly. The cold star sword art was the 10th movement of the emotionless sword art. The sword chi condensed into a single point, unstoppable and unstoppable. Its only weakness was that the point of attack was too small, and if one missed, it would not cause too much damage. Of course, if he could train the cold star sword art to the highest level, then the only weakness would disappear, and he would be able to create an explosion within his opponent's body. However, the emotionless sword art only had 11 movements in total, and each one was harder to train than the previous one. The 10th movement, the emotionless sword art, was even more powerful than the 8th movement of a normal top-rank Earth Realm sword art. With his talent in sword arts, there was no way for him to comprehend the cold star sword art all of a sudden. After all, he had only been given the emotionless sword art when he became a core master, and had not been training since he was young. taking chestnuts out of the fire. On the other side, the core master of the Fire Spirit Palace, Gold Rock, saw that Pei Yudao had almost gotten the Blood Evil Stone. He could not keep his cool anymore. He twirled the long blade in his hand, and the blade chi rotated, stabbing towards the location of the Blood Evil Stone inside the beast's body. Dragon Elephant Attack. The blade chi was shattered. It was Shun Tujue who had attacked. His right hand was empty, and the fist power he had thrown out was extremely powerful. The beast's body had been shattered, and the Blood Evil Stone could be vaguely seen. Gold Rock was filled with hatred in his heart. However, if it were him, he would have done the same thing. Compared to a pure Blood Evil Stone, why would he care about feelings? Were feelings more important than power? Therefore, he remained calm and collected, and continued to attack the beast. Shun Tujue was about to attack again, and fight for the possession of the Blood Evil Stone. However, the white-robed blade artist suddenly threw out 7 blade attacks at the same spot, blasting the Blood Evil Stone out. "It's mine! Mine! Who dares to fight with me?" The 4 of them had all gone crazy. Before they were still holding back, but now they were attacking anyone they saw. The situation was extremely chaotic. "Here's my chance." Yi Qin's eyes brightened. The Zhen Yuan in his body operated according to the separating shadow flying art circulation method. In the next second his body exploded, and layers of shadows poured down like a flood, drowning the beast and the other 3. Shoo! Within the countless shadows, Yi Qin's real body approached the Blood Evil Stone at a fast speed. "Brat, you are looking for death." Gold Rock was also nearby. With bloodshot eyes he performed the Flash Kill Golden Flame Cut. Compared to Yan Qihua's, Gold Rock's Flash Kill Golden Flame Cut was more than 10 times more powerful, and its speed had also increased by several folds. "I have to take this blade attack." As thoughts flashed through his mind, Yi Qin barely lifted up his left index finger and pointed it at the blade light. Shoo! His fingertip was cut open, causing strands of blood to float in the air. However, Yi Qin's expression didn't change at all. Under his intentional control, the thunder sword twisted into an arc, causing the sword chi to circle around and bounce back the Blood Evil Stone. Rumble! A large number of shadows were cleared out as Shun Tujue rushed over. Seeing Yi Qin's hand, he was so angry that his 3 corpses flew into a rage. Without a second thought, he punched out. Holding the Blood Evil Stone tightly in his left hand, Yi Qin forcibly took on Shun Tujue's full power attack. Puff! Spurting out a mouthful of blood, Yi Qin's figure shot out, leaving the battle circle. "Where do you think you're going?" Pei Yudao and the white-robed blade artist cleared out the remaining shadows and chased after Shun Tujue and Gold Rock. The situation had turned into a 4-on-1 situation. As for the half-beast Blood Evil Beast, after losing the Blood Evil Stone, its vitality was greatly injured, and it could no longer pose any threat. Run! Without any other thoughts, the only thing Yi Qin could do was run. With 4 extreme astral-reaching experts joining hands, no one could stop them. Using the separating shadow flying art to its limit, Yi Qin's body seemed like a wisp of black smoke. With a few flickers, he had already fled 7 to 8 li away. "Brat, leave the Blood Evil Stone and I can save your life." Pei Yudao's voice was heard. Yi Qin replied, "Treasures belong to the fated. No one can blame anyone else." "Then don't blame me for being ruthless." Pei Yudao's long sword trembled as he performed an extremely frightening Cold Star Sword. The speed of the Cold Star Sword was far faster than Yi Qin's. It was as if the stars in the sky had flashed once. A finger-sized hole appeared on Yi Qin's protective Zhen Yuan, piercing through his abdomen. So powerful! Yi Qin sucked in a breath of cold air. His left hand continuously pointed, stopping the bleeding wound. 1 blade 7 flashes. The white-robed blade artist's eyes flickered with hesitation, but he resolutely waved his long blade. Dodging 5 blade lights, the remaining 2 landed on Yi Qin's back. Fortunately, Yi Qin was wearing a mid-rank defensive armor, so the blade light couldn't break through it and hit Yi Qin's body. However, the power contained in the blade light made him puke out 3 mouthfuls of blood, which was not a light injury. "Brat, your strength is not bad. This Blood Evil Stone is yours. I Wang Pao will not chase you anymore." Putting his long blade back into its scabbard, The white-robed blade artist stopped chasing. Many thanks. Yichun didn't blame him for injuring him. If it were him, he would have done the same. Shun Tujua's eyes narrowed, remembering the white-robed blade artist in his heart. His left hand shot out a dragon-shaped shockwave, while his right hand raised into the air and heavily smashed down. An elephant condensed from Zhanyuan fell from the sky, suppressing the flying Yichun. Shadow explosion. In this critical moment, Yichun once again performed the ultimate skill of the separating shadow movement art. His human figure flickered, exploding out fiercely. His real body barely dodged the elephant condensed from Zhanyuan. However, the dragon-shaped shockwave was even more frightening than the elephant condensed from Zhanyuan. It opened its mouth and all the shadows were destroyed, leaving only Yi Chen's real body. Instant kill fire dragon chop. Gold Rock grasped the opportunity, waving out a dragon-shaped blade light. The blade light flashed, wrapping around Yi Chen, and ruthlessly brushed past him. Haha, brat. Let's see where you can run to. Facing the repeated attacks, Yi Chen's speed had dropped by a lot. Gradually the other three caught up. Shin Tujue said while attacking. Yi Chen, it's not easy for you to grow to where you are today. Give me the blood evil stone, and I can protect your life. Shin Tujue shouldn't even think about killing you. Pei Yudao transmitted his Zhenyuan to Yi Chen. In his opinion, Yi Chen, who was at the end of his rope, would not refuse his good intentions. Yi Chen's expression was firm. I'm sorry. If I can't even grasp the opportunity when it falls into my hands, how can I talk about growth? Hearing this, Pei Yudao sighed and killing intent condensed in his eyes. Pung! As soon as he finished speaking, blood flowed out of Yi Chen's 7 orifices. It was Shin Tujue who had launched an attack on him. The incomparably berserk power penetrated through the mid-grade armor, causing him serious internal injuries. This won't do. If this goes on, I'll be beaten to death. Looks like I have no choice but to use that move. I must succeed. Yi Chen knew his situation better than anyone else. Without 2 or 3 moves, he would not even have the strength to fight back. Therefore, he had to break away from the three's pursuit in the shortest time possible. The only way for him to break away from the pursuit was his newly created move. This move was still not proficient and had a high failure rate. Otherwise, he would have used it long ago instead of waiting until now. Bang! Under Yi Chen's control, his protective Zhanyuan collapsed with a loud bang, turning into specks of light that floated around him. The specks of light combined together, forming layers of sword light that surrounded him. Quick! Raising the index and middle fingers of his right hand, Yi Chen controlled the sword light and pointed it forward. Chapter 356. Hum, hum, hum. Waves of sword cries resounded as the sword light wrapped around Yi Chen and shot out. It was as if an aurora had pierced through heaven and earth, traveling several li in an instant. Success! Yi Chen was overjoyed. His consciousness sunk into his body, and he immediately felt the green lotus Zhanyuan turn into Zhanyuan threads, continuously fusing into the sword light and propelling his body forward. This moment his speed doubled. What? The three behind him were shocked. Before, their speed was still above Yi Chen's, and they were about to catch up. But they did not expect that Yi Chen had performed some kind of secret art, and his speed had skyrocketed, leaving them 2 miles behind in the blink of an eye. Damn it, we can't let this kid get away. Shin Tujue roared. The martial will that had condensed into the embryonic form of his martial spirit was added to his Zhanyuan, and his flying speed also increased drastically. Although he could not catch up to Yi Chen immediately, he did not think that Yi Chen would be able to persist. As long as he did not fall too far behind, he would eventually catch up. Pei Yudao and Gold Rock had also cultivated some secret techniques to increase their speed, so they were far behind Yi Chen and Shin Tujue. There's a conveyor gate below. After flying for several hundred li, Yi Chen gradually felt that he couldn't take it anymore. Seeing a conveyor gate below, he dived down without thinking. Poochie! The incomparably sharp sword light wrapped around Yi Chen, slicing through several high-rank blood demons. Less than 10 meters away from the conveyor gate, Yi Chen immediately stopped the flow of Zhanyuan, dispersed the sword light around him, and stepped into the blood-red whirlpool. On one of the islands of the Bloodstone Islands, Yi Chen's figure appeared out of nowhere. Shen Tujue was only thrown a few dozen li away by me. After 6 or 7 breaths, he will be transported out. Ambushing him here will only cause him some injuries at most, and won't be able to kill him in one go. Once I'm entangled with him, the other two will come out, and it will be too late. The thought of ambushing him flashed through his mind, but Yi Chen immediately rejected it. He flew towards the boundless lake, making everyone on the island confused. Not long after, Shen Tujue was teleported out. Which direction did that kid escape to? Grabbing an astral-reaching expert with his Zhenyuan hand, Shen Tujue sternly shouted. The captured astral-reaching realm warrior pointed to the left in panic. There? Tossing the other party aside, Shen Tujue burst forth with speed, heading in the direction the other party was pointing at. Soon after, Pei Yudao and Gold Rock came out. The people in the vicinity observed their expressions, and hurriedly pointed in the direction that Yi Chen and Shen Tujue had left. When the two of them walked far away, the crowd started discussing. What's going on? The core elders of the 3 rank 6 sects seem to be chasing after that young man. It's probably a conflict of interest. Conflict of interest? That young man is merely 20 years old, yet he managed to provoke 3 extreme astral-reaching realm warriors to hunt him down. No matter what the consequences are, this kind of means is enough to make people gasp in admiration. Above the boundless star region lake, Yi Chen's body was sparkling. His Zhenyuan kept shattering and splashing everywhere. Sure enough, the sword light flying art is still very unstable. Being able to use it before was largely due to luck. The sword light flying art was a secret art that Yi Chen had created when he felt that his attack speed surpassed his movement speed. The key point of this secret art was to link his body with the condensed sword light, and then launch an attack. In this way, he could theoretically catch up to the speed of the attack. However, Yi Chen was still unable to perfectly link his body with the sword light. The balance between the two was hard to grasp. My speed is only a bit slower than Shen Tujue's. If I keep this distance, he won't be able to lock onto me and launch an effective attack. Unable to use the sword light flying art, Yi Chen wasn't impatient. Blazing Zhenyuan, his figure turned into a wisp of black smoke, lightly sweeping through the air. 20 li away, Shen Tujue saw Yi Chen's figure from afar. His voice, wrapped in Zhenyuan, transmitted out at an unimaginable speed. Leave behind the blood evil stone. Otherwise, today will be the day of your death. Yi Chen didn't say a word. Bastard, go die. Shen Tujue punched out. The boundless fist energy was like a long dragon, rapidly approaching Yi Chen. Pung! His protective Zhenyuan slightly distorted. Under the effect of the fist energy, Yi Chen's speed didn't decrease, but instead increased, increasing the distance between him and Shen Tujue. Damn it! Shen Tujue clearly understood what was going on. Although an extreme astral-reaching expert's attack was powerful, if the distance was too far, there was no way to guarantee 100% of its might. When that fist landed on Yi Chen's body, it only had 30% of its might remaining. Since his attack couldn't do anything to Yi Chen, Shen Tujue didn't waste any more time. He focused all his attention on increasing his speed, closing the distance bit by bit. Dozens of li behind Shen Tujue, Pei Yudao and Gold Rock caught up one after the other. In the Blood Demon battlefield, blood evil beasts would only appear once every few decades. Each time they would appear at most a dozen or so. They and the deceased White Bone Ghost General had killed 11 blood evil beasts in total. The remaining ones were hidden in the depths, and weren't easy to find. Moreover, even if they killed all the remaining blood evil beasts, the blood evil stone they could obtain wouldn't even be worth half of that blood evil stone. Otherwise, they wouldn't have mobilized so many people to chase after Yi Chen. If I knew it would be so troublesome, I would have joined hands with Shen Tujue to kill this kid. Activating his Zhenyuan, Gold Rock thought bitterly. Pei Yudao wasn't too angry. What should be his would be his in the end. What shouldn't be his, as long as he tried his best, everything would be fine. The 4, one in front and one in the back, flew at extreme speed. Passing astral-reaching experts upon seeing this scene, all stopped in the vicinity, looking at each other in astonishment. Unknowingly, several hours had passed, and the sun was slowly setting in the west. stuffing a Zhen Yuan replenishing 7-star pill, and a meridian repairing Wonder Spirit pill. Yichun turned his head to look back. Shen Tuju was persistently chasing after him. The distance between the two was gradually closing in on the 10-li mark. At this moment, neither side was burning Zhen Yuan. Astral reaching experts rarely burn Zhen Yuan for more than half an hour, as doing so would result in enormous side effects. Yichun was able to maintain a distance of more than 10 li thanks to his tyrannical body. To a certain extent, he could burn Zhen Yuan for a quarter of an hour more than Shen Tuju. Otherwise, he would have been overtaken 2 hours ago. The Blood Demon battlefield is at the border of South Rudra region. After a few hours of flying, I should be 60 to 70,000 li away from South Rudra region. At Yi Chen's level, the speed of rushing at full speed was extremely frightening. Of course, very few people would rush at full speed under normal circumstances. This was due to endurance. Another few hours passed by, and it was already deep into the night. Haha, little bastard. Let's see where you can run now. Dragon Elephant Strike. Closing the distance of 7 to 8 li, Shen Tuju raised his Zhen Yuan and punched at Yichun. Pung! After half a day of rushing, Yichun was already exhausted. Adding the numerous attacks he had received before, the internal and external injuries were constantly corroding his body. His soul power had clearly sensed Shen Tuju's attack, but he was unable to effectively dodge it, and thus received the punch. Spurting out a mouthful of blood, Yi Chen's mind was a bit muddled. Hold on a little longer. Relying on his powerful sword will, Yi Chen bit the tip of his tongue and forced himself to be clear-headed. He numbly operated his Zhen Yuan, maintaining his peak speed. Shen Tuju was also very tired. However, he believed that the first to fall would be Yi Chen. Suppress for me. Raising his right hand, he smashed down from the air, and an elephant condensed from Zhen Yuan loudly descended. Break! Gathering his remaining strength, Yi Chen pulled out the thunder sword and slashed at the Zhen Yuan elephant. Rumble! A powerful shockwave radiated out, and Yi Chen's figure swayed incessantly. Shen Tuju once again caught up to him. The distance between the two was less than 5 li. Damn it! My Zhen Yuan is about to be exhausted. The 7-star pill could indeed replenish Zhen Yuan, but there was a subtle conversion process involved. After such a long time of rushing, the impurities within Yi Chen's body were quite numerous. His Zhen Yuan refining speed was horrifyingly slow, and it had already reached the point of being one disaster after another. On the other hand, Shen Tuju was at the peak of late astral reaching realm after all. His Zhen Yuan was a bit more vigorous than Yi Chen's, and there was no lack of better pills than the 7-star pill in Floating Mountain. Therefore, his situation was much better than Yi Chen's. Seeing Yi Chen's speed slowing down, Shen Tuju was overjoyed. Pei Yudao and the Gold Rock were dozens of li away from them. After killing Yi Chen, the Blood Evil Stone inside the half-beast Blood Evil Beast's body was clearly his. In the future he could rely on this Blood Evil Stone to condense a true martial soul. Laughing heartily, Shen Tuju didn't attack Yi Chen. He wanted to maintain his Zhen Yuan advantage, and couldn't waste it. Inside his dantian, the Zhen Yuan core started to dim. The green lotus sword chi that was revolving around the core seemed to have sensed that Zhen Yuan was running out, so it started to shatter in an orderly manner, merging with the core and barely providing enough Zhen Yuan for Yi Chen. However, if it went on like this, the Zhen Yuan formed by the green lotus sword chi would not be able to last for too long. 1 disappeared. 2 disappeared. 3 disappeared. 6 disappeared. Only 1 green lotus sword chi remains. In the Blood Demon battlefield, Yi Chen had used a total of 2 green lotus sword chi. Of the remaining 7, 6 had been transformed into pure green lotus Zhen Yuan, and only 1 remained, revolving around the Zhen Yuan core. Just as he was about to reach the end of the line, a huge fog suddenly appeared before him. Yi Chen did not even think about it before rushing in. Where do you think you're going? Shen Tuju didn't think too much and charged into the fog. Something's wrong. The next moment, Shen Tuju's face was overwhelmed with shock as he shot out. Looking around, Shen Tuju muttered, "This is the Star Regional Lakes Bewilderment Fog Forbidden Zone. A path of no return for astral-reaching experts. I almost fell in." Soon Pei Yudao and Gold Rock appeared. Gold Rock said doubtfully, Shun Tuju, I lost him. Pei Yudao shook his head with a grave expression. This is the bewilderment fog forbidden zone. It's 30,000 li wide. Even Sea of Soul Realm experts would have to spend a long time to come out. Bewilderment fog forbidden zone. The night was too dark, and Gold Rock didn't pay much attention to it. Hearing Pei Yudao's words, he immediately discovered the abnormality of the fog. The radiating of his spirit power was unexpectedly restricted by 90%. Normally he could radiate 10 li, but now he could only radiate 1 li. Chapter 357. This kid has it easy. Knowing how frightening bewilderment fog forbidden zone was, Gold Rock cut off the thoughts in his heart. He had never heard of an astral reaching expert entering and coming out. Once trapped inside, even Sea of Soul Realm experts wouldn't be able to save him. Perhaps a life and death king might have the ability, but who could invite a life and death king to save him? From now on, he might never see this person again. Shun Tujue, who had stopped at the edge of the fog, seemed to be unwilling. He placed his right hand before his chest and pushed out. This palm didn't have any offensive power. As the palm energy spread out, a fierce palm wind radiated out, blowing away the fog of several li. The fog in the surroundings seemed to have come to life, scrambling to fill the empty space swept away by the palm wind. After a few blinks of an eye, the fog became even denser, without the slightest gap. The fog contained a strange substance, making the transmission of mental power extremely difficult. Damn it! My blood evil stone! Shun Tujue gnashed his teeth. The blood evil stone had been taken away by Yi Chan, and was now completely cut off from him. Relying on the 3 ordinary blood evil stones in his hands, his chances of condensing a martial spirit didn't exceed 20%. He didn't know when he would be able to obtain another one. Rumble! The lake water caved in under Shun Tujue's attack, looking like an overturned cauldron. Pei Yudao didn't say anything and flew back the way he came. Rather than wasting time here, he might as well try his luck in the blood demon battlefield. Who knew, he might be able to kill 1 or 2 of the remaining blood evil beasts. Seeing Shun Tujue's flustered and exasperated appearance, Gold Rock's heart calmed down a lot. He comforted himself. Even if I capture that kid, my chances of obtaining the blood evil stone won't exceed 30%. If Shun Tujue obtains it, the number 1 astral reaching expert in South Rudra region would be without a doubt. Shun Tujue, I'll take my leave first. Laughing heartily, Gold Rock turned around and left. Humph! Although I didn't obtain the blood evil stone, I still dealt with a peak genius who could threaten floating mountain sect. Bewilderment fog forbidden zone isn't as simple as not being able to leave. Just wait for your death inside. Furiously looking at the fog, Shun Tujue thought bitterly. Swish! Shun Tujue chased after Pei Yudao and Gold Rock. He couldn't see the stars, the scenery around him, or even the lake water. Yi Chan seemed to have entered another world, isolated from the outside world. Fortunately, only 10% of my soul power is restricted, while 90% of my mental power is restricted. The biggest difference between Yi Chan and astral reaching realm warriors was that not only could he use his powerful soul power, he could also use his mental power. And the soul power was the source of the mental power. There were not many things that could restrict it, not even that strange fog. As this thought flashed through his mind, Yi Chan fell head first into the ice-cold lake. When Shun Tujue and the other 2 returned to the blood demon battlefield, it was already the morning of the next day. There were more and more astral reaching realm warriors at the edge of the burial mound, no less than hundreds of them. With the white robe blade artist there, no one was afraid of the blood evil beasts rushing out to kill them all, since no matter how powerful they were, they would not be able to kill an extreme astral reaching realm warrior and hundreds of astral reaching realm warriors who were not weak at all. Whoosh! 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 At this moment 3 streaks of light streaked across the sky and flew over. They're here. I wonder if Yi Chan was killed? He's probably dead. With 3 extreme astral reaching realm warriors joining hands, no one under Sea of Soul Realm would be able to escape. Don't forget that Shun Tujue and Pei Yudao are the top existences among extreme astral reaching realm warriors. Their individual strength surpasses Yi Chen's. What a pity. It's been many years since such a stunning genius has appeared in South Rudra region. Everyone discussed spiritedly, their faces revealing expressions of pity. Seeing the three return, the white-robed blade artist creased his brows. Emotionally, he didn't wish for Yichun to die. Rationally, Yichun had indeed died 9 times out of 10. He had a bit of friendship with Pei Yudao, so he asked, "Pei Yudao, what's the situation?" Pei Yudao said indifferently, "There won't be a second Yichun in this world." "Dead?" Pei Yudao shook his head, then nodded, "Not dead, but it's no different from being dead." He entered the 30,000 Li Bewilderment Fog Forbidden Zone. 30,000 Li Bewilderment Fog Forbidden Zone. The white-robed blade artist's pupils shrank. 20 years ago, his master had also entered the Bewilderment Fog Forbidden Zone, and had yet to return. At that time, his master was known as one of the 3 extreme astral-reaching realm warriors of South Rudra region, and his strength could only be higher than his. Hearing the conversation between the white-robed blade artist and Pei Yudao, everyone turned silent. Indeed, entering the Bewilderment Fog Forbidden Zone was no different from death. There had never been an astral-reaching realm warrior who had walked out of it. There was once a sea of soul realm warrior who wanted to explore the mysteries of the Bewilderment Fog Forbidden Zone. In the end, he was trapped inside for 3 years, never daring to enter again. Yichun entered the Bewilderment Fog Forbidden Zone? A strange glint flickered in Murong Qingqing's eyes as she recalled her encounter with Yichun. The first time they met, he wasn't that outstanding but rather ordinary. The second time, his strength had made great progress, saving her and Qi Xiaofeng's lives at the critical moment. The third time they met, he shocked the world with a single brilliant feat, seizing the first rank of the Hidden Dragon list from Xikong Shang's hands, shocking everyone. The fourth time they met, Yichun found it hard to find an opponent among astral-reaching experts. He suppressed White Bone Ghost General with his own strength, and fought evenly with Floating Mountain Sect's Great Elder Shun Tujue. Afterward, he even had the guts to snatch the Blood Evil Stone from the hands of 4 extreme astral-reaching experts. Such boldness and methods could only be described as shocking. It wouldn't be an exaggeration to say that although many people hadn't seen Yichun in person, his fame was resounding. His fame was unparalleled among the younger generation of South Rudra region. Even the older generation astral-reaching experts weren't as famous as him. Some people even compared Yichun to the peak geniuses of other regions, believing that he would be a peak genius no matter where he went, and couldn't be ignored. Even Xikong Shang hadn't received such an evaluation. "I believe you can walk out of the Bewilderment Fog Forbidden Zone," Murong Qingqing inwardly said. Mo Yin stared blankly for a moment, then his face revealed an obscure happiness. He was very clear about the terror of the Bewilderment Fog Forbidden Zone. Yichun truly wouldn't be able to come out this time. For a moment he felt incomparably carefree. At the same time, Li Daoxian, Yan Qihua, and Bing Ling all had different expressions. Wang Pao get lost. With nowhere to vent the evil flames in his heart, Shun Tujue's gaze fell on the white-robed blade artist as he said sinisterly. The white-robed blade artist sneered, "I've long wanted to see your strength. Bring it on." Boasting shamelessly, die. The two no longer spoke and started fighting. Splash. Waves rose on the ice-cold lake, and an unconscious figure was tossed up and down. The surroundings were covered in a thick, dusky fog. One couldn't even see their fingers if they stretched out their hands. After an unknown period of time, Yichun woke up from his coma. Where is this? Without any strength left in his body, Yichun spat out the lake water in his mouth with great difficulty, his eyes vacant. After a long time he gave up on exploring. No matter how powerful his soul power was, it could only scan a radius of a few dozen li. Moreover, this fog seemed to be endless without any boundaries. Turning his attention from the surroundings to his own body, Yichun smiled bitterly. The situation was not looking good. 50% of his meridians had been damaged, and the undamaged meridians were blocked. Zhenyuan couldn't pass through, causing the Zhenyuan core in his dantian to be dim and almost dried up. To make matters worse, Yichun's internal and external injuries were quite severe, causing his physical strength to drop to a critical level. After being soaked in the ice-cold lake water for several days, Some of his flesh had started to rot. The only good news was that there was still a green lotus sword chi left in his dantian, which was probably his only life-saving measure. Let's heal the injuries first. If an ordinary person encountered this kind of situation, they would be dead for sure. Fortunately, Yi-chan had the sky demon flower in his storage ring, which could heal this kind of injury without a problem. A trace of Zhenyuan flowed out of the dim Zhenyuan core, flowing out through an intact meridian, and finally into the storage ring. Buzz! A piece of sky demon flower appeared in Yi-chan's palm. Unable to directly swallow the sky demon flower to heal his injuries, Yi-chan could only use his remaining Zhenyuan to absorb the medicinal power and merge it into his left arm. The lack of Zhenyuan led to the absorption of the medicinal power being very little. In the past, with sufficient Zhenyuan, he could completely recover in an hour. But now, after 5 days, he had only recovered 30%. Finally, I can move. The sky demon flower had not only recovered 30% of his injuries, it had also greatly increased Yi-chan's physical strength. With this powerful body, ordinary clasping Yuan realm martial artists might not be Yi-chan's opponent. Moving freely on the lake water was not too difficult. Without Zhenyuan, he couldn't fly. Yi-chan picked a direction and swam forward with both his hands and feet. 1 day, 2 days. After a week, Yi-chan finally found a small island. Climbing onto the island, Yi-chan looked around. This island was only several hundred meters in circumference. It couldn't be any smaller, and could be submerged by the lake water at any time. On the island there were some strange plants and tall rocks. Between the rocks, there were some small spatial cracks. Lighting a fire and roasting fish, Yi-chan hadn't eaten for many days. Near the bonfire, Yi-chan's face was illuminated by the flames, flickering between light and dark. If I'm not wrong, this should be a forbidden area of Star Regional Lake, Bewilderment Fog Forbidden Zone, known as the place of no return for astral-reaching experts. Although I have soul power, it will be extremely difficult for me to leave. Moreover, with my strength, I can't guarantee my own safety. I can't act on my own. Losing Zhenyuan had a huge impact on Yi-chan. He had no choice but to think twice. After eating some roasted fish, Yi-chan didn't continue using the sky demon flower to heal his injuries. It was not that he didn't want to, but the last trace of Zhenyuan in his body had already been used up. He simply couldn't absorb the sky demon flower's medicinal power. As for taking the sky demon flower, he didn't think about it. It was not yet a matter of life and death, so there was no need to risk his life. Unable to heal, unable to recover Zhenyuan, I can only refine my will. He swallowed a meridian-mending wondrous spirit pill. Without Zhenyuan, the pellet's refining speed was horrifyingly slow, and its effect wasn't very good either. Yi-chan didn't expect the wondrous spirit pill to mend his meridians. He only hoped that it could mend a part of it and provide the simplest Zhenyuan circulation route. After doing all this, Yi-chan took out a blood-red stone from his bosom. Taking a deep breath, he activated his sword intent, filling it with the stone. Chapter 358. The blood-red stone was precisely the blood-evil stone. As soon as it came in contact with the sword intent, it immediately underwent a transformation. A blood-red haze spread out from its surface, shrouding Yi-chan within. Kill! A large amount of evil chi appeared out of nowhere and battered Yi-chan's sea of soul, raising huge waves. Soon after, a grotesquely shaped demon head was condensed. These demon heads didn't have real bodies, and were illusory and misty. They would occasionally let out ghostly wails and wolf howls, their voices soaring into the sky. Suppress for me. The misty longsword floating above the sea of soul blossomed with layers of halos. The demons condensed from evil chi were swept away by the halos, vanishing like smoke. Following the disappearance of the demons, strands of silver mist gradually pervaded the sea of soul, no different from the mist surrounding the longsword. Silver mist will? If Yi-chen's guess was correct, this silver mist was an illusory will. Will was formless, relying on the soul. The stronger the soul, the stronger the will. However, having a mountain of treasures without a method to obtain them was not enough. Blood-evil stones could refine even more wills to a certain extent. My soul power is several times that of ordinary people, and the potential of my will should also be several times that of ordinary people. I wonder if 4 blood evil stones are enough. Adding the blood evil stones from the half-beast blood evil beast, Yichun had a total of 4 blood evil stones. The first one was obtained from killing the blood evil beast himself, and the second and third ones were obtained from White Bone Ghost General's storage ring, while Shun Tujue and the other 3 were surrounding the half-beast blood evil beast. The evil chi contained in the 4th blood evil stone was equivalent to the sum of the previous 3 blood evil stones. Moreover, the purity of the evil chi was far higher than normal blood evil stones. 1 blood evil stone was equivalent to 5 or 6 blood evil stones. Therefore, although Yichun only had 4 blood evil stones, he could use them as 8 normal ones. 3 days passed in a flash. The first blood evil stone had dimmed, its evil chi disappearing. Originally, there was only a trace of silver mist around the misty longsword. But now the silver mist was 10 times more than before, as if a layer of fine muslin had been laid down. Transforming will into sword intent, and fusing it with the misty longsword is a long process. Right now, laying a good foundation is not a bad thing. With enough will, I won't have to worry about insufficient reserves when comprehending sword intent in the future. Taking out the second blood evil stone, Yichun continued to absorb the evil energy within it. During the process of refining his will, Yichun realized that the stronger his will was, the faster he could absorb the evil aura. It took him 3 days to use up the first blood evil stone, 2.5 days for the second one, and 2 days for the third one. The silver mist in his soul sea had turned from a thin layer of silk to a thin mist. The total amount was 30 times more than before, but until now there was no sign of it being full. It seemed like his will and soul power were equal, and the quantity of his will had not exceeded the limit of his soul power. In the past, my soul power was powerful. Its direct effect was a wide range of search, and its indirect effect was my high comprehension, which allowed me to learn things quickly. But now my soul power has shown a new function, and that is my powerful willpower. Willpower is basically the means of Sea of Soul realm. My soul and willpower potential has undoubtedly surpassed Sea of Soul realm experts. All I need to do is to excavate more. Without much hesitation, Yichun took out the 4th blood evil stone. This blood evil stone came from the body of a half-beast blood evil beast. Its color was bright red, as if it was dripping blood. Strands of extremely pure evil aura pervaded the air, dyeing the void red. In terms of quantity and quality, it surpasses ordinary blood evil stones. With a thought, Yichun urged his sword intent toward the blood evil stone. Buzz! A huge amount of evil aura gushed out, causing faint ripples. As the evil aura entered his brain, Yichun's mind gradually became dizzy, and a bloodthirsty impulse filled his heart. Not good. The purity of this evil aura is too high, and its might far surpasses ordinary evil aura. Yichun promptly bit his tongue and urged the misty longsword to suppress the evil aura. The misty longsword was an amalgamation of sword intent. As soon as it was activated, a frightening halo of sword intent spread out, clashing with the extremely pure evil aura. Pitter-patter. The evil aura shattered into pieces, and the halo of sword intent also dimmed. However, Yichun's sword intent was not an ordinary sword intent, but one that contained an immortal nature. No matter how strong the evil aura was, the sword intent never showed any signs of dissipating. Wearing down the evil aura. Time flowed like water, passing in the blink of an eye. When Yichun opened his eyes, 6 days had already passed. The misty longsword doesn't contain much sword intent. After all, the sword intent has just reached completion. Only its might surpasses the perfect sword intent, not to mention the level above the perfect sword intent. Without considering the immortal nature, Yichun knew that he was still lacking a bit. The sword intent at completion was the perfect sword intent, and the perfect sword intent was at the same level as Shun Tujue. Of course, Shun Tujue walked the path of a warrior, while Yichun walked the path of a swordsman. Their wills were very different, but their realms were the same. Huff! Letting out a mouthful of groundless killing aura, Yichun slowly stood up. After absorbing the evil aura from the 4th blood evil stone, the total amount of his will had increased by 90 times, 10 times more than what he had expected. This 90 times increase allowed Yi Chen's future path to be incomparably wide, giving him an absolute advantage. More importantly, even with so much will, it still did not exceed the capacity of his soul. The strength of my will has allowed my mind to become much clearer, and the misty longsword is also receiving nourishment. Unfortunately, the sword intent is not perfect, and the efficiency of the misty longsword in absorbing will is very low. I need to accumulate enough foundation to push my sword intent to the perfect realm. The realm could not be ignored. Without the realm, everything would be done with twice the effort for half the result. Once the realm was reached, it would be twice the result with half the effort. This was the gap. And a part of the meridians has already been repaired. Suddenly, Yi Chen felt the Zhen Yuan core in his dantian recovering a trace of vitality. The natural Yuan qi flowed along the intact meridians, and was refined into a small amount of Zhen Yuan. As long as I have Zhen Yuan, it's fine. Without it, the recovery speed is too slow. As the days passed, Yi Chen's injuries were recovering bit by bit. He had to admit that the heavenly demonic flowers effect was too powerful. As long as he had Zhen Yuan to absorb its medicinal power, all the injuries on his body could be healed. It had an all-round effect. Unfortunately, compared to other injuries, the meridians were the hardest to recover. After all, they were an important part of the circulation route for Zhen Yuan. Therefore, even though most of the injuries on his body had recovered, his damaged meridians had only recovered by less than 40%. This directly caused his Zhen Yuan to be sparse, and the output of his Zhen Yuan had also decreased. Shoving a 7-star pill into his mouth, Yi Chen continued to meditate. Rumble. After an unknown period of time, a splash of water splashed onto Yi Chen's face. Opening his eyes, Yi Chen noticed that the outside of the spatial crack had been filled with lake water. Wave after wave crashed onto the rocks. The island is about to drown. Frowning slightly, Yi Chen smiled bitterly. Right now, he had to find a suitable place to treat his injuries. He did not want to soak in the lake water all day. Standing up, Yi Chen walked out of the spatial crack and jumped onto a tall rock. As far as the eye could see, the surrounding fog was boundless, and the resolution was extremely low. Pushing his eyesight to its limit, he could only see things within 10 meters. Rumble. A huge wave dozens of meters high split the fog in two. Yi Chen neither retreated nor dodged. With one punch he scattered the huge wave, which would be a nightmare for ordinary people. Although his battle power had dropped a lot, which was equivalent to a beginner astral-reaching expert, the natural wind and waves posed almost no threat to him. Spreading out his soul power, Yi Chen followed his intuition and chose a path with smaller waves. In order to save Zhen Yuan, Yi Chen did not fly in the sky. Instead, he gathered strands of Zhen Yuan in his feet and ran on the surface of the lake. The lake was boundless, and there seemed to be no end to it. A human figure shuttled through the fog, appearing and disappearing from time to time. What a chaotic gravitational field. It's clearly not a straight line. The gravitational field of Bewilderment Fog Forbidden Zone was extremely chaotic. Sometimes it was big, sometimes it was small, sometimes it was twisted, and sometimes it was straight up or down. Previously there was a slight difference, but in the end there was a deviation of hundreds of li. If his guess was right, this was the frightening part of Bewilderment Fog Forbidden Zone. Standing on top of the turbulent lake, Yi Chen took out a large water bottle from his storage ring. The scale of the bottle pointed at the number 7. The second 7 days have passed. I wonder where I am in Bewilderment Fog Forbidden Zone. As time passed, Yi Chen thoroughly felt the terror of Bewilderment Fog Forbidden Zone. Once he entered, he lost all sense of direction. As time passed, his willpower began to weaken, and his mood became fidgety. Walala! In his soul power perception, there was a sound of water breaking 20 li to his left. There is a large object sailing. Raising his brows, Yi Chen followed the sound by treading on the lake water. Soon Yi Chen arrived at his destination. The fog here was much thinner than other places. It was just a thin layer and one could see hundreds of meters away. In Yi Chen's sight, a 10-meter-long, several-meter-wide ship was anchored there. A lot of people jumped into the water, and a lot of people jumped out carrying large and small demonic beasts in their hands. Haha! This water region is indeed rich with demonic beasts. There is even a rank for demonic beast. On the deck, an old man smoking a pipe revealed a faint smile. Grandpa, how about we stay here for a while and go back after collecting a large amount of demonic beast pellets? Next to the old man stood a young woman in a green dress. She was not extremely beautiful, but she was small and cute with a well-proportioned body. The old man shook his head. No, if we stay too long, we might not be able to go back. The gravitational field of bewilderment fog forbidden zone is constantly changing. After a certain time, the light ball will also lose its effect. The woman sighed. You are right, but every time we enter or exit the city, we have to pay a rank 3 demonic beast pellet. The rest is not enough for us. Raising her head in a depressed mood, the woman suddenly noticed a human figure 100 meters away. Grandpa, there is someone over there. Someone? The old man followed the woman's line of sight. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.